Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do an extension of my educational series. It's kind of interesting. I've had a number of questions dealing with sound sets, user programs, and I've gone through and I've explained what those are. But um, I'd like to do a little demo today of how to actually create a user set, and then I'm going to create two separate user programs. Now, user programs, you actually have 8 that you can deal with, but I'm just going to do 2 because I want to do a demo here of the song. And just recently, Peter of Peter, Paul, and Mary passed away, and one of their songs that I enjoyed growing up was Puff the Magic Dragon. So I thought I would play that on my 1X, but I didn't quite have the sound I wanted for that song. So I kind of had it, but I wanted to tweak it a little bit. So that's really what I'm going to do here. I'm going to tweak the sounds that I want, and I'm going to show you a number of things. Okay. First, I'm going to take the standard accordion, the concerto, and add, I'm going to use dual mode. I'm going to use accordion, saxophone, and on the bass side, use some orchestral sounds on the bass side also, and play the song. And you'll see that at the end of the video. Okay. I'm then going to make some edits. Now, a lot of first time Roland accordion owners don't realize you can put any sound you want anywhere you want. So I'm going to kind of do that. I'm going to keep the accordion sound as a bandoneon, which is what I'm going to try this on as the accordion. And I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to edit it in place. However, for the others, for the orchestral, I'm actually going to move an instrument to a different location just to show you that it can be done. And the same with the bass and chord. So this is rather, I don't know, a lofty goal, but I'm hoping to actually keep it fairly short because I'm not going to edit all of the items. I'm going to keep most of the items the same. And this should give you an idea also of how much time it takes to actually create a new set, a completely new set, because we're only going to change 4 items. Okay, so we're going to start with the concerto. And on the screen, I actually have what the registers are. So I'm actually going to be right here, and I'm going to work with the bandoneon. So that's a 16-foot reed and the center 8-foot reed. So I'm simply going to change those. And you'll see the changes as I do them, because I'm actually going to bring them up and show those. And on the orchestral, I'm actually going to put this tenor sax over here in 1A. So that's going to be one of the moves that I'm going to make. Okay, so on the treble side, over here will be on the accordion treble. Over here will be the bandoneon. This is the original. This is when you open the editor, and I'm going to actually do this also, but when you open the editor, it opens in the concerto. And by default, the bandoneon has a 16-foot reed on and an 8-foot reed on. They are the classic style. volume is standard. The valve noise is classic. The octave is 0. You can go up or down. Musette detune is classic, and the bellows detune is standard. I'm actually going to change this, and hopefully you're going to be able to hear the difference when we actually play this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to change the type of accordion from a classic. So this is the edited section over here. So from the classic to an iFolk. So I'm going to leave the 16 and 8 foot reed on. I'm going to make them iFolk accordions, and I'm going to turn the volume all the way up. So it should get quite a punch. Okay. I'm going to put the valve noise as an iFolk accordion, leave the octave alone, change the musette tuning to German, and leave the bellows detune. I'm also going to make a few changes here in the effects, but I'll show that as I go through it. I don't want this to get real long. Okay, for the orchestral, okay, 1A up here, hopefully you can see this on the screen. 1A is normally the strings, and by default, these are the settings. Well, I'm going to change it to a tenor sax. I'm going to change the octave to 0. I'm going to kick the volume up, not max, but pretty high. And I'm going to change the pan pot up also. If you hit, you're going to see when I actually do this, if it's 50, that's going to be fine. And leave the bellows detune alone. You'll see the other changes I make here shortly. This is just a quick overview. Okay, for the orchestral bass, okay, 1A is an acoustic bass. I'm going to change that to a picked bass. And you can see the changes that I've made. So I'm changing the release time, I'm increasing the release time, increasing the volume, because I want a kind of a oomph. When I hit that bass, I want an oomph there. And leaving the pan pot alone. For the chord, again, the 1A was a string. I'm actually going to make it an acoustic piano. Okay, now hopefully you can see the screen here. This is just the editor that you download from Roland. So I'm going to start that editor, and mine comes up and it loads the FR-1x right there. Okay, so when you start this, you can see up here, it's coming in as a concerto accordion. So everything about the concerto, and if you don't remember, the concerto is actually accordion set 1-1. By default, that's what's turned on when the accordion turns on. So what did I say we were going to do? We were going to take and we were going to edit 1B. So we want to go to the bandoneon in the accordion, the bandoneon, which is 1B, and we're going to go to the edit. Move this a little center here so you can see it better. Now, in here, again, you have the 16-foot reed on the 8-foot reed. We're going to change that to the iFolk accordion. Change this to iFolk. And the others doesn't matter because they're off. So that's not going to make anything. We're going to change the volume. We're going to punch this up quite a bit. Okay. The valve noise we're going to change to iFolk. The musette tuning, we're going to go to the German. And we're going to leave the bellows detune alone. Okay. So right now we have that, but we're not done. There's still a couple other things that we can do. If we come over here to the effects, okay, now over here, we've got reverb and chorus. And I'm gonna cut those down. So I'm gonna take these and put them down to like 20. And and if it's 21 instead of 20, it's your sounds. You can make it sound whatever you want. I really wish there was a little easier way of doing this where you could actually hear it as you're editing it, but unfortunately, you actually have to put it into the accordion. Okay, so at this point, we're done. That's really the only things you can edit. Now, on board, you can do some other things with the level to get a little more punch if you want from, let's say, a bass, an accordion bass or something. But that's for a different video. Okay, so we're going to save this. Operation complete. Our Bandonian is done. So now what we want to do is come down here to, what are we doing? We're doing orchestral. Now, I said I wanted to show you, you don't have to keep these instruments where they are. Okay, for this guy, we're actually going to change it. If we come in here, 1A, pull this down again for you. 1A is strings. We're not going to have it as strings. I want it as a tenor sax. So I'm going to come in here, and where is tenor sax? Alto sax. Here's tenor sax too. And you could make it any of these. So, if you don't like strings, you want brass sections, you could make all of the orchestral brass. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we're gonna bring that in. So it's now gonna be that. Now, octaves, I don't want it down one. I'm gonna put it at 0. Okay. Volume, I want this sax to be louder. I happen to like a sax, so I'm going to increase this. Oh, and what was it? Like 35? Yeah, I think it's 35 I had it at. Okay. And again, you can change this to whatever you want. Experiment. We're going to change the pan pot to like 50 or 51. Okay. And we're going to leave the bellows detune at low. Okay. So now let's go take a look over here at reverb. Now, they're really loud. What we're going to do, I'm going to cut this down to, I think I'm going to do like 80 and 35. So we're going to cut this down to like 80 and move this to 35, something in that ballpark. 36 is close enough. Okay, this is best guess scenario. Okay, over here, you really can't edit any of these. This is the 1X. The editor is very limited in the 1X. Okay, but we have everything done. We're going to save it. Boom, save. We are now done with that. Now, your 1A, that 1A over here on the right side, on your treble, it's not going to be strings. It's going to be a tenor sax. Now, you have the same tenor sax, but I just want to show you could move it. Okay, so for the bass, okay, by default, okay, the bass is this acoustic bass. We're actually going to change it. And the reason I'm changing it is by default, when you turn a set on, okay, if you turn it on, it's going to go to the 1A position. Anyway, so I don't want it to be that acoustic bass. I want it to be a picked bass. Right there, picked bass. Okay, I'm going to keep the lowest note as E, the octave is 0. Now the release time, I don't want it to be 0. I'm going to kick it up to about 10. The volume, I want a lot of punch with this. When I hit that, I want a punch. So I'm going to put that all the way up. Leave the pan pot alone. Okay, now let's go in. Reverb, I'm going to put that reverb down to about 5. And the chorus, let's do 20. Okay, and again, you can't change any of the other effects, so we're just going to save. It's now saved. We have the bass done. All that's left is the chord. Now, again, by default, the chord is a string. 1A is a string. We're going to change that. Okay, and from the slides, okay, I wanted to put a piano sound in there. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the piano. Now, I'm going to put that in. Okay. Octave. I'm going to go up an octave. Now, volume. Okay. I want like a ching, ching, ching type thing from the piano, but I want it in the background. So I'm going to cut the volume down like -30. Okay. I will leave the pan pot alone. That's a panoramic. Okay, on reverb, we're going to leave those, on this one, we're going to leave those alone. So now we are done. End of story, done. Save it. Boom. We have now saved that, and we are to the point where we can create a set file. This will be our user set. So we're going to create it. Okay, needs to be 0, 0, 0 through 999. Okay, so I'm going to save it, and I'm going to call it 025. Please do not put in 25. Has to be 3 characters, 3 numbers. So I'm going to do 025 and say save. Boom. As you can see in the background, we're now done with this editor. Yes, I want to leave. You can see it has created that set. Now all we have to do is copy it over to a flash drive, because we need the flash drive to put the set on the accordion. All right. That being said, I think everyone can do that. Let me get that onto a flash drive, and I am just putting my USB in, and notice the accordion was off. I'm going to turn it on now, and actually what we need to do is put this set in. Before we can do some of the other things I want to do, we actually have to put this set in. So you have to decide where you want to go. You have user set 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm actually going to replace user set 1. I replace these quite often when I'm doing stuff and doing videos. So anyway, to do that, just as a reminder, we're going to go into the parameters, and I believe it's 37 in user sets. So we're going to take this user set. Now when you hit a button, it's going to pick which set you want. Now if you remember, I saved it as user set 025. Well, this is 016, 025. You see I have a couple on here. Well, we're going to take and we're going to load set 025. So I want to take that guy. Now it's telling me where I want to go. I could put it in 1, 2, 3, or 4. I said we're going to put it in 1. So you select the user set you want, hit enter, it says loading, and it's now done. Our user set is now done. Okay, we can turn this off. It's done. And I'm just going to turn it off so I can take out the USB because it's no longer needed. We've created this. Okay, the next thing we need to do is to actually create the sounds that we want and then save those into the user programs. I think it's actually going to be easier for me to show you, or better for you, if I actually show you with this camera angle instead of me holding the accordion as to what we need to do. So what we need to do, we've got the user set loaded. We need to set a couple things. Okay, now I want to set user program 1A to the concerto, dual mode, all of those things. So we're going to be doing a lot of that. Okay, so first I need to make sure I'm in the right accordion. So for this, that needs to be, couldn't see that, sorry. Where are we at? 1B. 1B is the bandoneon. Okay, so we've got that set. Let's get the right orchestral. And I'm just going to use the tenor sax, since we actually have the tenor sax and we're not doing much with it. That's actually 3B. So I'm going to turn orchestra on and then go to 3B. Okay, so now with orchestra on, I'm a tenor sax. With the accordion on, I'm a bandoneon. All right. Now for the bass, okay, bass, we're going to leave that at 1A. The chord is actually 3C. So we're going to come over here, and I believe that's 3C. I actually need to be able to see what I'm pressing. That's 3C. Okay. So we now have the instrument set. I want to put it in dual mode. So now it's in dual mode. And I want to turn the orchestral on. If you look, you'll see a little dot right there. If it's solid, that means your orchestral's on. So now, since it's in dual mode, the accordion and the orchestral's on. So now I want to put those settings, and notice I didn't even have to test them. I happen to know where these are because that's where I just programmed them to. I want to put them in user program. So you're going to hold the user program button down, and it's going to then start flashing. Where do I want it? Well, this is my baseline. This is the actual Roland startup set. So I'm going to put that in 1A. I believe that's what I said. So we're at 1A. I'm going to hit the set. There it is. It's in there. Bingo. We're good. All right. Now we're going to get out of that because now we need to set up our new program. The new one is the one that we just created. Now, if you remember, we saved that in U1. So I have to go to U1. So now there I am. Okay, that's user set 1. And you could go to whatever you wanted. User set 2, 3, 4, 1, 1. 1, 1 is the startup. That's the concerto. But we're going to go to U1. Not 4, U1. Okay, so we're in U1 now. All right, so now we want Take this out of dual mode. Okay. All right. So what we want is we want the accordion. Let me check, see what's on. Okay, the orchestral's still on. Turn that off. Okay. So now we're on the accordion. Sorry, had to look around the camera to see what was being filmed so I could actually see the screen. All right. So we're going to do this again. Okay. So we want, for our set, we're going to use a bandoneon. So we want 1B. So our accordion is bandoneon. Our orchestral, if you remember, we changed where that tenor sax was, the one that we edited. So I'm going to turn orchestral on. And that was actually 1A. We put that in 1A instead of 3B. Okay, so this stuff is all set. All right. We can actually turn dual on. Try not to photobomb here. Dual's on, turn orchestral on. So this side is set. All right. For the bass and chord that we edited, that's bass, and we want 1A. The chord we want as 1A also. So now we're all set. We can put this anywhere we want in our user programs. We're going to put it at 4A. So the way we do that, hold user programs, it's flashing. We want 4A, you have 4A, 4B, and so on. So we're going to hit set. It's now in 4A. So if we go to user programs, we hit 1A, that's our baseline. If we switch to 4A, that's the one we edited. So that's what we're going to look at. I'm going to go to user program. I'm going to go to 1A. 1A is sounds pretty much what we expected. 4A. Now, hopefully you could hear the difference. I'm not exactly sure with this camera, but next thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually go and do a song with each one. And that's using a user set that you created and user programs that you based off of those. First, if you haven't done so, please hit the like and subscribe below, and leave any comments that you have. Secondly, a little tip. Okay, it's kind of like a little bonus feature. The bonus feature is if you change your user sets, and you keep your user programs. If a user program is based on a user set that you no longer have in there, it's not going to be what you expect. I think I'm going to put together a video playing Puff the Magic Dragon with the sound set that we just created and the user program that we just created, and compare that to the FR-8x. I think that will be an interesting video. Look for that probably tomorrow. It's going to be coming out here in the next few days anyway. Anyway, keep playing.